What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Rach. I'm Rach and I talk about only real shit. And today's episode is really exciting because I am going to share a huge part of myself that I honestly have never shared online. Something that's only shared with people that I know personally in my circle, and something that I've never shared online before, but that I always knew that I would someday, that I would want to, and that I would need to. So it's really exciting that today, the day has come, because I have a lot of really good shit that I want to talk about, and yeah, let's just get right into it. Oh, also, I will say, if you haven't had a chance to check out some of my recent videos, definitely make sure to head over my channel and do that. My last episode of my podcast, Real Talk with Rach, that I posted was a super good one, honestly giving like the biggest life update ever in my life. Choosing to take a really big leap of faith in life and follow my heart. So that one's definitely a good one. Make sure to check it out. And then also, I've been on my travel vlog shit. I posted 2 travel vlogs recently from my trips to Joshua Tree and my first trip out of the country to Tulum, which was absolutely insane. So yeah, make sure you go check out those as well. Alrighty, so for today's episode, we are going to have a conversation on cannabis, breaking down the stigmas and stereotypes. Okay, I'm excited. All right, so cannabis. What is cannabis? Why am I talking about it? If you're watching this, you probably know what cannabis is to some extent, i.e. it is a substance, it is a plant that grows from the ground that humans have been consuming for, so long. And for me, the reason why cannabis is something that I want to talk about, something that I want to make a video about today or an episode, is because it's something that has honestly brought me so much love into my life. So much love and light. And just that number one fact that it has brought so much love into my life, combined with the fact that I know that there are so many messed up stereotypes and stigmas out there surrounding cannabis use, like those 2 reasons combined was all that I needed to know. Like, okay, this is something that I want to talk about and that needs to be talked about. So let's get all into it. All right. So I'm going to just talk about basically my story and history with cannabis use, how cannabis has been in my life, what that has looked like, what my experiences have been, and where I'm at right now. And also, I'm just gonna really be highlighting everything that I know, like from personal use, but also like knowledge that I have learned, from outside of myself and hearing from other people. And I just wanna have like an open conversation, because I feel like it's something that's just so important to talk about, because the reality of cannabis is that it's something that, just as myself, like I'm not the only one. It's something that can bring so much love and light into so many other people's lives. And right now, like, we live in a place where not every single human on this earth like fully knows that or is aware of that like reality that exists. There is a lot of, ideas and perspectives out there that and just being honest, like don't actually align with the true reality of, what this plant actually is and what it was meant to be in our human existence for. So yeah. So basically, okay, for me, let's start at the very beginning. The first time that I ever consumed cannabis was back in high school. I'm pretty sure I was like 15, and I just had a friend that introduced me to it. And I feel like when I was in high school, I didn't really consume that often, because for me, if you think back when I was in high school, so this is literally like 10 years ago in a super small town in Montana. 10 years ago, anywhere in the country, it was different, but like specifically in Montana, like cannabis was illegal. There were no like dispensaries that you could just walk down to the store and purchase cannabis. It was illegal. And so that meant that like you had to like get it from a friend who knows a friend. And like in that aspect, like, yeah, when a product isn't regulated, that is, you know, like kind of sketch, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, people were going to do what they, you know, needed to do to have what they felt was meant for them in their life. And like for me, even though I didn't use cannabis a whole bunch throughout high school, there were pieces of my time that I did spend using cannabis. And really it just, I mean, I feel like all my experiences using cannabis have really just like helped me get to the place that I am in life. But like specifically like in high school, I feel like just the fact that I had to kind of like, I don't know, kind of like, I mean, not necessarily go out of my way, because I wouldn't say I was like trying that hard. I was definitely just letting these experiences come to me. But in essence, I was taking a risk, right? Because it's like you're doing something illegal, and something like, because it's illegal, people think it's like bad and shit. And so it's just kind of funny to think that like what the energy was when I was like back in high school consuming cannabis compared to like what my experience has been like now as an adult living in California and whatnot. But basically, I was just kind of like using it a little bit throughout high school, and it wasn't really until I moved to California when I went to college that I really became, I'd say, a daily stoner. So like daily use of cannabis for me really came in when I came to college. And I think that's definitely because, I mean, being here, California, obviously, well, I guess actually, technically speaking, when I came freshman year, I think it was like that whole first year, technically California wasn't recreationally legal yet. It was only medically legal. So you have to have like a medical card to go and get it. So it wasn't as easily accessible, but it was still obviously way more accessible than like in Montana, because like Montana didn't get dispensaries until literally like this last year. But like California, they still had dispensaries obviously for the medical use. So it was still a lot easier to obtain. And yeah, basically it was just like people that I was around with. It was just like the culture. All my friends mostly that I was hanging out with were smoking, and it really just became something that I just kind of like did fall into, like, wow, like this is something that's really like meant for me. This is something that really like resonates with me. This is something that I actually am thinking about and reaching towards, you know, on a daily basis. And you might be asking me like, why? You know, like what is it about cannabis? What is it about like being high that like makes me want to do it? And the reality is that every single person is going to have their own like experiences and feelings while using cannabis or any substance. And the reality is with cannabis or any substance that it's going to react differently to everybody's bodies. So there are people out there, which I've met people, I've heard about people who actually have like bad reactions to cannabis, where it can make them feel like they have a heightened sense of anxiety or worry, or they just don't feel like good, or any other number of things that can happen to your body. So there's people out there that, you know, don't react well to it. But then there's other people out there that do react well to it, and react well to it in a sense where it combines with your body and your body chemistry in a way in which brings benefit to you and your well-being overall. So that can look really different for a lot of people. Like just from what I've heard from other people who have had experiences where cannabis benefits them, it benefits them in a way typically where it's relieving anxiety, relieving stress, helping with depression, also helping if you have like loss of appetite, because if you ever heard like smoking cannabis, you know, can give you the munchies, make you want to eat a lot. So that can really help with people that are, you know, dealing with a loss of appetite or struggling with that. Also people who have struggles going to sleep, insomnia, that's definitely something that I've heard people use cannabis for. So there's really like so many ways in which the world and other people and other bodies can benefit from cannabis use. But if you ask me like what the real reason is why I enjoy it or what I feel the benefits are for me, it's pretty interesting because I do like think about it a lot. Like I am very analytical in my mind, and I really do think like, why do I like this? Like, why do I keep reaching for this? Why do I feel like my body and my soul like really enjoys this activity, enjoys this substance in my body? And for me, I feel like in my life, I have always felt that incorporating cannabis, I feel like has given me a balance that I was needing and looking for in life. And it's a balance in the sense of basically like I compare what I feel and what I experience and what I perceive when I'm like totally sober, like no substances at all, versus, you know, when I'm high and I'm consuming cannabis. Like, what is the difference between what I'm feeling? And it's really interesting because I feel like when I'm sober, and especially when I go like a period of time being sober, I feel like, you know, in life I accrue things and experiences that stress me out. And I feel like I think of them as like little like stress bubbles or like kind of burdens or pressures, I feel like, that pop up in life, just as with everyone's life, okay? You know, things that go on in life that stress you out. And I feel like for some reason, like when I get high, when I smoke cannabis, like I'm able to essentially, the way I like to put it is like stress more efficiently. Like I feel like I'm able to see this new lens of all the things that I'm stressed about, and I'm able to actually release a lot of the bubbles and like just see clearly that there's a lot of things that I was stressing about that I don't actually need to be that like stressed about. And it's so weird, and it's really hard to truly like describe it in words because it's genuinely just a feeling. But I feel like it doesn't, you know, just like relieve or take away all stress bubbles, like, oh, I feel no stress. No, it just like takes away the certain things that I'm stressing about, like a few bubbles here and there that I'm like, realize it's not my worth, but it's not worth my time to like stress about those things. But there's still like those other bubbles that remain. And it's really giving me the clarity of like, you know what? Yeah, like these are the things you should be stressed about, or like, not like you should be stressed, but you should be like focusing on or paying attention to. And so really, I just feel like when I'm high, it helps me like, okay, here's the thing. I feel like maybe when I'm sober, I get just like too stressed out about things if I'm like sober too long, that I'm not able to see clearly where my energy should be directed or where I should be focusing. But when I get high, I'm able to have this different type of reflection on my life and just see with more ease and clarity what I really should be focusing my energy on. And in a way, it's also like really just giving me a little bit more clarity on like myself, you know, who I am, what's authentic to me. And it just really helps me to get into that lens of identifying like what in my life can also be like cleared out, you know, like what things or people or energies are just not serving me. And yeah, it just really helps, I don't know, give me this lens. And like I said, I started this out by saying it's a balance because everybody's different. Everyone lives their lifestyle differently. But for me, I feel like I really like work best under a healthy balance of periods of time where I'm sober, periods of time when I'm consuming cannabis, you know, like, I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there that are, you know, like high all day. And if, you know, if that's you, you know, like no one else is here to ever like have any opinions or judgments, I feel like, about what other people are doing, you know, if they say it's what's best for them. Right. So, I feel like, yeah, basically I am just able to feel more like balanced as a person, as a soul, as a being, and I just truly feel like I'm more myself. And I know that this is, you know, just something that's really authentic to me. And I also know this because it's something that's stuck around in my life for so long. You know, I obviously said I started smoking first when I was like 15 in high school and stuff, but consistently since I've been here, so that's consistently like 8 years in my life, you know. And every single, you know, experience I feel like is just like, if validation was needed, but it's not. But like if it were, it's like just that validation of like, yeah, this is really me. Like this is really me. This is who I am. Like this makes me feel like me. And also I've had experiences that have really like validated that more in the opposite way, where I remember back in college, there were a couple periods of time where I took several months break from smoking. Like I went from, you know, smoking weed every single day to taking a break cold turkey, you know. And I feel like when I went through those experiences, I don't know, sometimes it depends on like what it is, but like there is a general concept of like when you're like consistently doing something or consistently using a substance or putting something into your body and then you stop, like you can have different like reactions and stuff. For me, the only thing I really experienced physically was that it was a bit harder for me to fall asleep initially, but then after like the months went on, it like was fine, my sleep schedule. But basically what I realized during that like time period And oh, by the way, the reason why I stopped smoking was because this was back in college. And so I was like trying to get like internships and jobs and stuff. And most of the time they'll do like a pre-employment drug test. So I'm like, okay, like, which is so funny. Okay, talking about drug tests, I'm happy I'm talking about this right now because I feel like, okay, out of like all my friends or anybody I've heard about, like I am such the like goody two shoes, okay, in the sense that like I always want to follow the rules and do what you're supposed to do, right? So the whole point of taking a drug test is to pass it, right? And the way to pass it, like in the right way, which is not cheating or lying, is to actually have no drugs in your system, right? Okay, literally I'm the only person that I know personally that I've ever heard of that actually purposely stopped consuming a drug like to pass a test. Everybody else that I know has like cheated and lied and used fake pee. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I could never do that because I can't like lie. I can't do anything like that, you know? Like, and so it just like would always blow my mind that I'm like, wow, like I'm the only one that like actually like stopped doing drugs like to pass the drug test, you know? I mean, it's just to pass the drug test, you know, and then the drug test is over if you're not, you know, in a situation where they like test routinely or whatever. But anyway, so when I took that several months break, like that was honestly, those were like the lowest points of my life. And I don't say that to be dramatic, but I say that in terms of like my actual motivation, focus, and skill. So like, remember how I was saying that it was like essentially like my cannabis use helps me like focus on me, on my life, on I'm supposed to be spending my energy on. And so when I went so long without having that, I think it's without having it, but also with knowing that there is this thing that exists that is meant for me and supposed to be part of my life, but for a given reason and circumstance, I had to, you know, which like obviously I knew it was a good reason. Getting a job was so fucking important. I'd obviously stop doing any drugs just to get a job. That's important, you know? So it's not like I had a lot of beef about it, but it was still this concept of like, well, why am I even doing this? You know, like why would, if my job, I should have thought about this way back when, but it's like, if my job is really truly what was meant for me, why would they not want me to smoke? You know, because it's like, I don't know. But anyway, I was definitely back in that, you know, mindset several years ago of like, got to go through the system, you know, like I got my job or I got my degree and I have to like do what I got to do to like get the job. So definitely like no regrets. But when I say it was kind of like the lowest, like, dude, like, okay, first of all, I want to say I'm a good student. I am a good ass student in school. I have done pretty good with grades. Okay. I think I got like a 3.6 GPA when I graduated from college with a degree in aerospace engineering. Okay. So that shit was hard. And literally, like, so I would consistently get good grades, okay? But like during that period of time where I was not smoking, I was like shocked at how like bad my grades got. Like I was like failing tests and like not doing good and just overall not able to like focus. And yeah, it wasn't good. Basically, okay, actually to get specific, on the second time that I took a break, I was in my internship and I was being offered a full-time job for when I graduated. And I thought that, oh, when they like give me this full-time job, will I need to like do another drug test? Like I'd already done one obviously to get the internship, but I didn't know if like, oh, it's another job, like do I need to? And then also at the same time, which like, this is when the story gets interesting, okay? My manager at the time wanted to put me in for a security clearance. And for anybody who doesn't know, because I did not know what that shit was, like when he told me, I really didn't know. I was just like, okay, my manager wants me to do something, so like, yeah, of course I'm gonna say yes and do it. But basically a security clearance is like something with the government where it's like, you know, they're working on stuff, you know, for the military, and certain things are secret, meaning like not anybody can know it. And so you have to have like a special security clearance to be able to know this stuff or like work on this stuff. And so basically I was just like, okay, yeah, like I'll do it. And part of me thought like, are they gonna like have a problem with me, like, you know, smoking weed? Like, would that be a problem? I didn't know, okay, if that would be a problem or not. Apparently they were supposed to give me like a whole briefing on this to tell me that actually would be a problem, but they kind of fucked up and they didn't ever give me that briefing. So I genuinely didn't know. But part of me had this idea of like, oh, what if they like don't accept me for this, you know? So like I should stop smoking and like, you know, and then also I thought maybe I was gonna get drug tested again because of the new job. So then time goes around and like I definitely don't get drug tested again. And so then I'm really questioning like, why am I not smoking? Like, because I have this fear that I think some people won't accept me for something that I think I'm gonna want for my job. You know, like what is really the give and take? Like this idea of like not smoking because of that, when the reality is that like I cannot like live up. Like the truth is that, okay, to be honest, like I am a high achieving individual. Like I can do a lot of shit and get a lot of shit done. And so even if I was living some life where I like had no access to cannabis and like had to live without it, like yes, I'm sure I can still do great enough. But the reality is that I live in a world where cannabis was brought to my world. Cannabis is right here. Cannabis is meant for me. It's here for me. And cannabis allows me to literally like live up to my full potential and actually genuinely be as productive as I can and motivated. And so I was really caught between this battle of like, well shit, like what's the point of like thinking that this might like help me in my career or help me in my job if I'm literally not able to do a good job or as good of a job as like I know that I can. And like the reason why that really eats at me is because like I said, I am that person that I have always had that kind of like high achieving energy of like I want to do my best and like I know what my best is. And if I'm aware that something's hindering my best, like that was at the point as which I like couldn't take it. I was done. And so I basically just like had a whole emotional breakdown. I remember this and I was like, no, like I know this is for me and I just have to trust the universe that no matter what happens, you know, in my job and with that situation, that it will truly be in my best interest and what's best for me because I'm choosing me, choosing my best potential and choosing what I know literally fulfills me and brings me happiness. And so I did it and I was so right. I was so right. And it's really, really funny, honestly, to talk about how that whole security clearance situation worked out because that's like one of the biggest experiences I feel like that I know I really wanted to talk about today that honestly really, really kind of just like widened my perspective of like, whoa, like there, like it's a bigger, I think, okay, when I say widen my perspective, it's widening my perspective of like prior to my security clearance experience, like my experiences in life have, you know, shown me that cannabis is light and love. You know, that's what my experiences have been. And I've always known that there are other people out there that like think it's bad, think it's evil, think it's like harmful and stuff. And like I have known that that existed, but I didn't think it was like that prevalent. I thought it was maybe more, you know, like the older people or older generations or certain type of like certain conservative people or something, you know, like and I feel like the security clearance situation that I went through really opened my eyes of like, wow, like this is something that is on a bigger scale when it comes to the people that exist in this world that like view cannabis in that like dark negative light. And so it really was just like, yeah, it's affected me a lot. And yeah, so basically, okay, for this like security clearance thing, it was like I filled out this like super long form talking all about like myself, my history, and like my drug and like alcohol use and stuff like that. And like I was very, very honest and open about all my like drug history. Because I mean, number one, like you obviously can't lie, you know, or otherwise you'll get in trouble. I mean, number two, I can't lie for shit because I just don't do that. And number three, I'm like super proud. I'm super proud of like all the drugs that I've done because it's literally like I've had such amazing experiences. Like here's the thing, like okay, I'm gonna clarify this also for anybody who doesn't know, because when I say, you know, drugs, I feel like people can think of a lot of different things. The reality is that there are lots of drugs and substances. Some of them are actually super fucking bad and you should never fucking do that shit, okay? Like, period, all right? Some of them, such as cannabis and a few others I will talk about in the future, are love and light. They are love and they are light and they are like good. And so when I'm talking about like my drugs, I will only use the love and light drugs and use them in a way which just brings more love and light. And so I'm really proud of like everything that I've done, you know? So it was actually like, I don't know, kind of interesting, like looking back to my experiences and like, yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did this. And like, it was great. And also like, it asked about like my future use. And I said, I definitely plan to like consider or continue using cannabis. And basically I submitted that form, and like this was during COVID, so like the processing was like going really slow, and so like several months went by. I think like 8 months went by, never heard anything. And then like I think I had one like phone call that was kind of like an interview or something, part of it. And like I don't know, this lady, I could totally tell that like she did not get it. Like she was like weirded out by the fact that like I was so candidly and openly talking about my cannabis use. Like I could tell she clearly has like some sort of other experience, perspective, or whatever, because she was asking me weird questions. She was like, oh, like if you were like with your friends and they were like, you know, smoking weed, like could you leave the room and like go away from them? And I was like, what? Like why would I leave the room? Like I would join in and smoke with them. That's weird. Like why would you ask that? You know? But anyway, after that, then like several more months went by. I think it was like a whole year and a half that they were, I guess, like processing this or whatever. And then basically they denied me. Okay, so they said, you're denied, you can't have this like security clearance, which by that point I had started to get a lot of friends and coworkers that have had the security clearance, and especially some friends that like have the type where it's like you work in a closed environment, closed meaning there's like no windows, and it's like a super secure place like all day. And like, okay, I don't know too much about it, so I'm not trying to like shit on it that much, but like from everything I've heard, like it sounds not fun. So like it's kind of ironic because it's like this whole situation, I feel like I truly dodged a bullet, because like I just, that experience I know wouldn't have been for me just from like what I've heard from everybody else. But anyway, they like sent me this letter, okay? And like, here's the thing. I'm gonna just preface this by saying like, it is one thing for, you know, you to be applying to some program and someone to like deny you and just say, sorry, I don't think you're a right fit for our program or our thing that we're doing or whatever, you know? Like, there's that. These people, and by these people, I mean the government, okay, literally sent me a letter telling me that because I use cannabis, I am not trustworthy. That's so mean. Like, what? That is so mean. When I read that, I was like, are they allowed to say that to me? Like, like that is so like, whoa. I was just like, that was like the pivotal point for me where I was like, oh my gosh, like they think that because I use cannabis that I'm not trustworthy. It's just, it's so funny and it's so ironic because it's like, I am literally the most trustworthy person I know. And like, if you ask literally anybody I've ever associated with, like they will also say I am extremely trustworthy. So like, it's so crazy that someone would take one aspect about my lifestyle and just be like, oh, that means that you're not trustworthy. Like, obviously that is already like weird, but it's like I said, it's like, why didn't you just say like, sorry, we don't think you're a good fit for our program. Like we've denied your acceptance, you know, like that's the nice way to say it. Like they didn't have to be mean and like literally like, they're literally like judging me. And like, I don't know, like I just feel like that was really like hurtful and like really disrespectful. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm not the only person that like they've been saying this to, because when I talked to like some other lady after this happened, she was saying like, yeah, this happens like at least once a month. We always have someone that like gets denied the clearance because of cannabis, and like it apparently is like really prevalent. Like I'm very much not the only one, which like makes sense because like, you know, like there's a huge cannabis community, like there is, you know. And I don't know, that's just like, that really just made me sad because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, not sad that I didn't get it because like it worked out really great for me that I didn't get it, honestly, in terms of like how my work career worked out. But like, it just made me sad that they would even like bring that type of level of like meanness and like disrespect, you know, because that's really what it is. I mean, it's also like, I guess like discrimination. It's like basically like judging me and putting me down based off of my own lifestyle decision, you know, that you clearly think is bad. But it's so ironic because it's like I said, like this is literally love and light to me. Like in my life, what this has been is love and light. And so it's like, I don't know, basically, you know, for anybody out there, if anybody, whether it's this type of situation with the government or anybody else, like if anybody at all, okay, is trying to take one aspect of you and your lifestyle that you know is love and light, that you know is authentic to you and part of who you are, if someone else is trying to take that and judge you for that, or try to make it look like that's something bad or something you shouldn't be doing, just know that literally only you, okay, only you know your own experiences, and only you know what's really meant for you. No one else does. No one else does. So yeah, I'm so happy I'm like talking about this now, because it's really like definitely like shaped my perspective, because I honestly after that was very much like, wow, okay, like if these people like think that I'm not trustworthy because of this, like what if other people at my work think that I'm not trustworthy if they knew that I use cannabis? And so really, like, it's so sad to think about it, but like I literally had this huge fear. Like it's not that dramatic, because it's like, okay, it's not like anyone's trying to like bring it up or talk about it at work. Obviously at work you're talking about work, but it was just always this like fear of knowing that like this is who I am, this is really me. And if anyone finds out, like what if they treat me differently at work? Like I just never wanted to be like treated differently if anybody else, you know, like found out and thought the same way that the government did, you know, and thinks that I'm like not trustworthy. I just never wanted that to affect my work experience. And I feel like that was always something that I don't know, like I was very cautious at making sure like no one would know kind of thing. And that's why I've like never posted on social media about cannabis. And yeah, that was honestly something that was like a huge like fucking relief off of my shoulders when I did go to put in my 2 weeks and quit my job. I did talk with a few of my close friends at work, close coworkers, and I like told them that this was like, you know, part of the aspect of like part of it of why I'm quitting my job. Like I know I'm supposed to be putting my life, my energy out on social media, and I know I'm supposed to be authentic to me, and to be authentic to me is to show all the sides of me. And this was a huge side of me that I was hiding online because of my fear of how there may be repercussions in the workplace. And now that I came to the place of knowing it was time for me to leave the workplace, now I am free to like truly fucking be myself and not have any of those fears that there's going to be any negative, you know, repercussions in that way in the workplace. And I was a little bit nervous, obviously, to like tell my friends, my close coworkers, because it's like these are people that I've gotten really close with and that I really like care about deeply. And I know that at the end of the day, if someone who was my friend really were to like, you know, look at me in a light that's not me, or, you know, judge me or shit on me or whatever for my cannabis use, then they're not my real friend. But I like really just obviously wanted to keep those friendships, and I just really wanted to be seen. I really just wanted to be seen for who I really was and accepted by people that I already like am friends with and have been close to. And so when I told a few of my, you know, friends at work, and I was like, this is me, I love cannabis, I'm so passionate about it, this is me, like I was so relieved when all of my friends looked at me the same way. Like they didn't look at me any differently, and they just like accepted me and saw me. And like that felt so good. That felt so good, because I am like coming out of like hiding in a sense. I am like coming out of my shell, and honestly, it feels so good. Like right now, what I'm saying right now, knowing that I'm gonna like post this shit and like people are gonna see it, I'm like, yes, like this is me. And I just feel so happy to finally be letting all of this out. And now I'm like opening the doors and the floodgates where I can feel comfortable fully expressing myself authentically online in all aspects, but specifically with regards to my passion for cannabis. So, you know, there will be more cannabis related content out there for sure coming from me. And I'm so excited. I'm sorry. It feels like It feels really good. It feels so good. I feel like I am, as you guys know, if you've been watching me, like I am on this journey, okay, to like find myself and be myself, like so truly, so authentically, so genuinely. And this is just a big step for me in that direction. And so, yeah, low-key, I feel like this calls for a celebration. I might go celebrate or do something for myself because, yeah, this feels good. But anyway, honestly, like I said, there will be more content because I feel like there's so many more things that can be talked about and needs to be talked about. But I just really wanted to, start the conversation. Start the conversation because, there are so many stigmas and stereotypes surrounding cannabis use, okay? People think that people are lazy. People think that they're not trustworthy, okay, because they consume cannabis. And the reality is like, yeah, maybe someone is lazy. Yeah, maybe someone isn't trustworthy. But it's not because they smoke cannabis. Like, if cannabis or any substance is bringing harm into your life, it's because you're choosing to use it in that way. And too many people want to like blame the substance, blame the tool, blame the external factors and think like, oh, this is making me lazy or this is making me this. When like the reality is no, like you have full control in your life, what you choose to do, what you choose to consume, when you choose to consume it. And if you are making choices that with regards to, a substance in this example that brings harm to your life, that's 100% on you, because it's like the same substance brings a lot of benefits and love and light to a whole other group of people, So clearly it's all about how you use it and how it's actually meant to interact with you, your personal body, your chemistry, your soul, your being. So yeah. All right. I'm gonna wrap this up now, and I just basically want to say that, like, I feel like I don't know who's gonna watch this, and I don't know what people's opinions are gonna be. I feel like this is like something, deemed controversial, and people are gonna have different views. And so I hope that if you had a view watching this that, like, I don't know, was anything, let's just say, different or opposite than cannabis equaling love, I hope that this like maybe did anything at all to just like make you think about it, just like make you think about it a little bit more deeply, And if you are someone that is passionate about cannabis, just like me, I want you to know that like I am here for you. And if you've ever gotten any type of shit, any type of judgment from anybody about the fact that you consume cannabis or anything surrounding that, just know that that is a them problem, not a you problem. And you are not alone. You are not alone. And no matter what, it's never okay for anybody to be judging people or shitting on people for doing something that they genuinely believe is best for them. At the end of the day, like, you can disagree. Like, if you have someone in your life that you care about and you think that they're doing something or making a decision that isn't good for them, you can have that opinion and believe that and feel that in a way that still respects them for their choices, because at the end of the day, like, everybody is in charge of their own life. And as long as there is still respect and support, that's all that really matters. I really, really would love to know what you thought about this video, what your thoughts are on cannabis, what are your experiences, anything that you want to share, anything at all that you want me to know or that you just want to be, I don't know, put out there. Please let me know down in the comments, because I don't know, this is a conversation I'm like really excited and happy to have. And so yeah, I just want to get that conversation started, and I would definitely love to hear from you. I hope that you liked this video. I hope that you liked this video. If you did like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will for sure see you in my next episode. Bye.